Today, I will show you an American romantic thriller film called Sleeping with the Enemy. But before that, I just want to give a huge spoiler alert for the movie. If you haven't checked it out, then this is your chance to quit playing, but if you want to continue, then I hope you thumbs up the video, and also subscribe to the channel. The movie opens with Laura Burney, a lovely woman enjoying her time on the beach, and her husband Martin Burney, a wealthy financial counselor in Boston. They appear like a great couple. She is stunning, and he is attractive. They dwell in his vacation cottage. Laura is getting preparations for a social event. Upon arriving, they don't spend long enough at the party and their eyes meet again. They certainly have a connection going on. He then brings her back to home. He is fond of listening to Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. The next day, Martin is working out. Maybe last night's workout wasn't enough. He then discovers lost towels in the washroom. He then invites Laura there, and he cautions her not to do the mistake again. Afraid from penalties, she then lines the canned foods in the cabinet with maximum correctness, the way Martin loves it. She then tells him about the menu for the meal, and he then departs. Later, he meets their friend. The neighbor tells him that his wife is wonderful, and he continues gazing at her. Then they chat about sailing, and how much Martin is fond of sailing and enthusiastic about it. Then the neighbor gives him an invitation for sailing together, but he declines it, by claiming his wife Laura is frightened of water and she cannot even swim or go near the water. Later, Martin returns home, and he is not happy that the neighbor is getting pleasure in watching his wife, so he starts hitting her, and he kicks her. Strangely, he apologizes promptly, and then he informs her about the offer from the neighbor for sailing that week. He tells her that he will be next to her, and then he leaves while Laura is in severe pain. At this point, we can state that Martin is an obsessive and domineering person who has physically and emotionally mistreated Laura. Outside, she discovers light bulbs, and she starts pulling them down. Later that night, Martin returns back home, and he apologizes again, and he showers her with flowers. Then he presents her a red dress, his favorite color. He then undresses her and makes her wear that dress. It appears evident that she is not happy with this treatment, and she does not enjoy it. Sooner, he puts himself on her, and her face tells everything by now. The next day, they discuss about Laura wishing to do a job at a library, but she is not permitted to do anything. She then explains how she wasn't even permitted to visit her mom's burial 6 months ago. Martin speculates that she is bringing it up, so they get into a disagreement and cancel the plan to sail that night. He then promises her that they'll always be together, and nothing can split them apart, and they get ready to go for sailing. Later that night, the weather starts more bad, and the neighbor assures Laura that nothing will happen. Martin glances at them in a strange way. Then the weather grows worse and worse. Laura feels terrified and worried from her worries of water. Unexpectedly, the boat jib opens up, and both Martin and the neighbor try to mend it, but the winds are too fierce. Sooner, Martin rolls out of the boat and the neighbor brings him back. However, Laura is missing, and she fell into the ocean. Martin starts stressing out as he knows she cannot swim. After an extended Coast Guard search, they uncover the safety vest of Laura, suggesting Laura couldn't survive the waves. Martin arrives home, and he is storming out and blames himself for the loss of his wife. A few days later, a funeral procession takes place, and Laura is finally gone. A genuinely painful time for Martin, and he is in shock. However, in the flashback, Laura swam through the sea. At this point, we can assume that she had it all planned. Her Uno reverse card was stored till this moment to rescue herself from the beginning. Then she walks back to Martin's house. She picks a bag that she had already packed. She then cuts her hair, and out of wrath, she takes her ring out and she drops it in toilet. She then leaves the place for good. Laura is aboard the bus to Cedar Falls, Iowa. An elderly lady gives her some fruit. Then they speak a bit, and Laura admits that she is going to see her mom. And her mom is alive, so earlier when she claimed that her mom is dead, it was a lie as well. She then tells her the narrative about her violent husband, and how she was locked in the house, and that she faked her own death. She reveals further that she lived with him for 3 years. The Greyhound bus delivers her to Iowa, and she can be seen smiling again, as if she was recently liberated from a jail, appreciating the simple things, and loving the life. She then hires a residence as Sarah Waters. Her house rent is $700, and she takes it. She then starts arranging the house and colors it. She stares at the sunset and loves all she lost. She takes a shower, and after the shower, she misplaces the towels as her gesture of liberation. A young man, Ben Woodward, is outside in the yard. He is her neighbor, and she grins while gazing at him. Back in Martin's house, he goes on the coast, and a broken piece of the light bulb gets into his foot. He understands that they all have been broken. At Laura's home, she walks outside, and she starts collecting apples from the yard. Ben shows her and tells her that she can be jailed for stealing. He then suggests we can make a bargain, and she answers, "I don't make deals." Then he comes back to her, and he delivers the apples, and he apologizes that he didn't want to scare her. He introduces himself and he tells her that he is a theater instructor at a nearby college. He wants to know her name, but she wants him to go. He asks her on a date, and he departs. Martin is at work when he gets a call from a lady working at YWCA. She names Laura and sends her sympathies. Martin is startled since Laura never went to YWCA. The lady then says that she came there every morning to take swimming lessons and she became a very excellent swimmer. Upon hearing that, Martin becomes out of control. He then goes back to home, and he starts digging through her items for hours. He gets a cut while going through the stuff, and he sees the wedding ring she discarded earlier, which failed to flush in the toilet. He takes it out and he thinks she could be alive, and she faked her own death. Laura goes to Ben's house with the apple pie she cooked from his apples. He asks her to play some music as they eat supper. She replies, "Play any music except Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique, the piece that Martin used to play." He found out that she is seeking for a job, and he says that he can get her some employment, but she refuses it. He then observes a cut on Laura's head. He guesses that she had a terrible past. She then tells him her new name, Sarah Waters. The next day, Martin starts digging deeper into Laura. He goes to a retirement home where Laura's mother used to dwell. After conversing a little, it is discovered that Laura got her mother out of there 6 months ago. Ben assists Laura to acquire a job in library. He asks her what her true name is. Since when he says her name is Sarah, she is not impacted. He says that he likes her. She denies it, and devastated, Ben departs. Later, she contacts her mom from a phone booth to hear her voice. Martin employs a private investigator, and he promises him $20,000 if he discovers her. A few days later, the whole town is celebrating the Independence Day. Ben finds Laura in the celebration. He calls out to her, and they both are thrilled to see each other. He apologizes for the other day, but she replies, "We are okay." Then they discuss a bit about their personal life, and Laura discloses that she misses her mom, and she didn't see her in the previous 6 months. Chloe, mother of Laura, is in a nursing home. Martin located her and he is standing close to her. Laura is at home. She gets a knock on the door, and Ben invites her to a private spot. He brings her to a stage, and he showers her with his affection, and he sings a song for her. They both having a lot of fun, and they both are plainly in love. They both start dancing, they come back to home, and they both start kissing one another. She resists and she pushes him away, and she wants him to leave. The next day, Ben is upset and frustrated after being rejected again and again. Laura goes to him, and she tells him about her ex-husband, that he was abusive, and she had to leave from him. He promises her nothing would happen to her. Later, he aids her in disguising herself as a male, and then she goes to the nursing home. She goes to her blind mother Chloe, and she starts singing her a song that her mom used to sing for her. She then explains to her that she left Martin, and she tells her about Ben as well. Chloe assures her to be strong and not to let anybody harm her again. Martin is at the same nursing facility, and he is wondering about Laura. Then he prepares to depart from there, and Laura is sipping water from the fountain, and she exits. A lady informs him about the guests that they had today, and he hurries outside to seek for her. She gets home, and she is filled with delight, and she jumps in Ben's arms. Martin goes to Chloe, masquerading as a private detective, and he tells her that Martin is in the town, and they need to find Laura to warn her. She don't know where to find her, but she tells him about Ben and the college he teaches. He is going to kill her severely, but he is halted by a nurse, and he flees. The next day, he goes to the college, and he abducts a professor, but he finds it's not the proper person. Ben is instructing his pupils in the college. He then spies on him. Later that night, he follows them, and he finds Ben and Laura happy, and he is in shock, and envy has taken over his head. At this point, we may argue that if he can beat his wife, because the neighbor was gazing at her, then what he will do when he discovered her kissing a man and fake her own death. Laura and Ben arrive back to house. She is having a bath and resting. However, she observes the aligned towels and she jumps out. She then starts inspecting the home cautiously. After examining the house, she finds the kitchen towels arranged as well. She opens the kitchen cupboards, and she is thrilled to see everything disorganized. She then moves from there, and she discovers an open window and Ben is seen entering in the home. She is obviously afraid. Then they both have supper outside, and he gives her a kiss before departing. She walks in the home, and she plays music. It plays Martin's favorite song. She then finds that the closet is open and fire alarm goes on. She destroys it since I suppose hitting a button would be too hard for her. She then proceeds to the kitchen cupboards, and she finds them reorganized to Martin's precise requirements. She tears and laughs in a disappointed accepting tone, knowing her worries had come true that her spouse followed her till there. He then arrives there and gives her a kiss. Ben knocks the door. He then reminds her the time to meet tomorrow. Soon after closing the door, Ben breaches the door, and he strikes Martin. However, he overpowers him. Martin then shows her the wedding ring, and Laura knees him in his marbles, making him drop the pistol. She snatches Martin's gun and holds him at gunpoint. Martin adds that even cops won't be able to protect her, and he loves her. She phones the police by informing them that she murdered an invader, and then she shoots Martin. She shoots him 3 times, and then he collapses to the ground, only to wake up like a zombie, and he tries to shoot her, but the pistol is empty. Martin ultimately dies from his wounds, while Laura walks to Ben and they hold one another, while waiting for the police. The film ends. Subscribe to see more videos like this, enable alerts, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.